What's going on, everyone? Anthony here, and today we have another Gruemonkey interview with none other than Lin Shaye. Yes, Lin Shaye. You may know her from the Insidious films, Nightmare on Elm Street, Ouija, and many other amazing horror films. Let's just say that this is an honor. Also, shout out to Mark for taking up this interview. I wasn't able to sit in on it, but I'm just here doing the intro and presenting it to you guys. And we're going to get right into the interview here. We are going to get right into the interview. I hope everyone enjoys. This is a great one.
We're talking today with actress Lin Shaye, and you have a new movie coming soon, I believe, Room for Rent. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So tell us a little bit about that. Basically, what's the idea? How'd you come to be involved with it?
Okay. It's kind of a new adventure for me in a way. I was in the middle of shooting Abattoir, actually, with Darren Bousman.
Oh.
And a director I'd worked with before, his name is Tommy Stovall. He lives in Sedona, Arizona. And a few years ago, I did a film for him called Hate Crime with Bruce Davison.
Oh, I love him.
I didn't know Tommy at all, and to this day, I probably should ask him. I'm not sure how he got involved with me. I think I reminded him of this woman that he had me play in the film for from something he had seen. I think that was where the genesis of it was. But he got in touch with me, and he said, and so I did Hate Crime with him, and then I did another movie with him called Sedona that was with Francis Fisher. A really nice little film, and they were kind of festival darlings. They never had any broad release, that happened, but I really enjoyed working with him. So he sent me this other script called Room for Rent, and I read it, and I didn't care for it. I mean, I just thought I was in the middle of something else, and so I passed. I said thank you for sending it, but I just don't think the material doesn't really speak to me. I hate to use that expression, but sometimes material does speak to you.
Okay.
And sometimes it doesn't.
Absolutely.
So it just kind of disappeared. That was it. And then about 2 years later, he said, "Do you remember that script I sent you?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Would you take a look at it again?" So we sent it again, and I kind of looked at it with new eyes. It was I think the same, pretty much almost exactly the same script I'd read previously. But different time, you see things differently in different frameworks. And
interesting.
I thought, it's not as bad as I thought. It was really my first impression.
Yeah.
And but I said there are things I still don't really like about it. It was kind of a horror film, but it seemed old hat to me on some level. And I said, what about if it's not so much about this woman who right away she's like a psychopathic killer. Blah, blah. I said, we've seen that already.
Yeah.
So sort of designed a new idea about the story. And I said, what if this character, it starts out where it's kind of clear she's killed her husband, he's dead, and I said, what if this guy, it's not so clear. What if this woman was maybe kind of held captive by him for all these years they were married, and that he dies, and she really doesn't know how to function in society.
Oh, that's interesting, yeah.
Which I thought was a much more interesting idea, because I believe there are women that we will never know about. It's kind of upsetting when you think about it, who live these sort of silent lives and are manipulated and abused by their husbands or society or whatever it is that shuts them down. Yeah. And then when that scenario ends,
then
where they don't know how to function, who are they?
Yeah.
So that sort of became the premise, and we built the story. The character's name is Joyce, and it's I think a really fascinating adventure into this woman's her struggling to function in the world, and how the world is very distorted to her because of her own imagination, because she never really knew what it was or where she belonged in it. And I'm really excited about it. It will definitely be a small film. It's being opened a little company called Uncorked. Actually, they're not so little. They do a lot of indie stuff. They took the film, and it'll be released. I'm not sure the exact date, but it'll be released, on all the venues. There's so much stuff now between. I don't even know. Hulu and iTunes.
Oh, I know, yeah.
And my toes and your toes. It's sort of, which is wonderful. I mean, there's so many.
It
different
is,
avenues.
yeah.
Take a piece of material. So, but we are opening it also in LA for a week at this small theater called the Cine Lounge, which is it's kind of like a beautiful little screening room on Sunset Boulevard.
Wow.
We're going to have our own little premiere,
Wow.
and it will. I think it's on Amazon for sure, and iTunes, and again the various outlets for across the board they call it. I'm never sure where that is, but for those that are more sophisticated about all of that, you'll find it. It's there, and I'm really proud of the work. Everyone that has seen it, including my son, who's a very hard sell, doesn't like much of anything. My son's 30. He's a wonderful musician, and he actually he kind of broke up during it. I mean, there's some very sad moments of how do you say, sort of misunderstanding about what you're supposed to have as a woman in the world and what you don't have, and how that devalues you both personally and sort of in society. And it's got some really wonderful moments in it. So that's a very long answer to your question, but we're opening it here in LA on May 3rd, and we'll see what happens. If it gets some, we hope we'll get some buzz. That's a whole game unto itself of promoting and marketing, and we all know there's many wonderful things that get lost, and but if you can hit the right notes in terms of promotion, it may have a real life to it. So my fingers are crossed. There's the biggest answer to the question.
Okay, no, I'm intrigued, and I'll definitely check it out. But the first part of your response when you'd said you read the script at first and you weren't so thrilled with it, it reminded me of John Turturro was on David Letterman once, I remember, promoting a film called Box of Moonlight. And Letterman asks him, how does he come to be involved with this film? And Turturro says, well, when I first read the script, I didn't get it. It didn't make any sense to me. And Letterman said, yeah, that'll sell tickets. It sort of reminded me of your response.
But I've learned, I'm not a very commercial actress in that way. I only know how to tell the truth about stuff.
Yeah, but yet you've had such a, a career. I mean, just such an illustrious career that you've managed to work so long, and you have over 200 credits, so you're doing something right.
Well, you know what? I think telling the truth is what's right. I really honestly believe that. I haven't followed any agenda. I never even had a dream, to be honest, about, I hope this happens and that happens.
Yeah.
I love storytelling. I love working. I love the community of creating, whether it be a play or a film. Mm-hmm. There's something that is so special for me about that's what I crave. It's not about the celebrity. It's not about, I hope this gets, makes a bunch of money. I mean, listen, we all love when all that happens because it's fun.
Sure.
And but that's never been my driving force. And so maybe that is my success. That I'm not one of those people that believes in the visualization. If you think of it and you see it, what I believe is you take one step at a time, and if you love what you do, you keep moving forward until you get what you need. And so I'm very excited about my own life in general. I really am thrilled with the success that I've had, and I look forward to lots and lots more. You ain't done with me yet.
Yeah. I'm gonna now that we've plugged the current project, which we'll definitely be checking out. So
I'm happy to send you a screener.
Oh, really?
If you wanted to see it.
Oh, that'd be terrific. I'd love that.
Yeah, I mean, let me double check with the director and stuff, because I know not everybody's. It's hard to know where it all lands and how you're going to find it.
Sure.
And I'd be I'd be happy to share it with you.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Feel good about it. So let me double check with Tommy, and if you send me your email and stuff, I'll send you a link to it. Okay?
Sure. Yeah. Before we get off the phone, I'll make sure I do that. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Now, I'm sure you've done a lot in your career that you're probably a lot more proud of, but something that connected with me at an early age, the Critters movies. I love the Critters movies. They're so much fun. Do you look back on those fondly at all, or was that just like, I mean, you did the sequel, so you must have had some fun on the first one, right?
Oh, it was totally fun. Now, I have to remind you that Critters was New Line Cinema, which is my big brother, Bob Shaye. My brother created New Line Cinema.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
And I'm his little sister.
Oh.
So, and he used to sort of make fun of it and say, "This is my sister, Linda Shaye. She's an actress." Then finally now, he's actually proud of me, which makes me very proud of myself, to be honest.
For
you know,
sure.
family approval is very important, whether we like to admit it or not.
For sure.
But Bob is really a genius, and I mean, he created. I shared his apartment with him in New York City. This was 1968, and I remember Bob is a University of Michigan, Columbia University Law School graduate. He's got a Fulbright scholarship. He's a brilliant guy, and he was interested in he always was interested in photography and filmmaking. And he basically started New Line Cinema in his apartment. I remember him coming home with stationery with the logo on it. It wasn't the little film logo they still use now. It was an earlier one. And he started out. New Line started out sort of as he had 3 films he acquired that he started distributing to art houses on university campuses. He made it a very specific niche, and he has sort of a roster of people like R.D. Lang, who did talks. Who had sort of they had talks that people came to, and his first movie was a movie called Stunts with Robert Forster. I can't remember all the actors in it.
Okay.
And because he decided to try production, and Critters came along, which was Critters was before Nightmare on Elm Street, I believe.
Okay.
Or was I can't even remember
the timeline. I feel like maybe Elm Street was slightly sooner. Yeah.
Okay, well, here, what basically is, Bob, without me knowing, would say, "Put my sister in your movie." I mean, literally. That's what he did to Wes Craven, and Wes graciously did, and which is the teacher in Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, I was going to get to that, too. I mean, it's not a huge part, but, it's definitely worth mentioning, sure.
I mean, that was directly from Bob.
Oh, wow.
And then he pretended he didn't do anything for me. I mean, he's that guy.
Now, how do you show up? How do you show up for work? With that in mind, that like, oh, my brother hooked this up, and
Sometimes
it
was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It was like, hi.
Yeah, like I promise I'm talented. I'm not just here because nepotism. Sure. Yeah.
Now, Critters was the first one was directed by Stephen Herrick.
Yeah.
And I was very excited about it. And we came up with this idea. It was me and whoever, I can't remember who did the makeup now, but literally I was sitting in the chair and we thought, let's do something kind of 30s. Let's do sort of a look, with red lipstick, and because this is this woman who's in this little podunk town, in middle America, and she's, she reads romance, comic books to sort of fill her desires for, for adventure, and eats Oreo cookies. That was all my ideas and stuff, and so we sort of developed that character of Sal, and I guess my theater background, because I originally started out in theater in New York, and I've had wonderful training. I worked with Uta Hagen and Stella Adler, and a member of the Actors Studio with Lee Strasberg. And to this day, I mean, I really that's the kind of work I still love doing. You know, the thing with the Oreos, I thought, what does she do all day? She sits with nothing ever happens in this town, hardly. And, she reads her comic books and eats cookies. So that sort of became, that little moment in the movie where I'm take the Oreo apart and I lick it. And it's interesting how that's the kind of stuff people really respond to.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. That's what makes it stand out is, the little quirks, sure.
And so, anyway, so I have great fond memories of it. And Emmett Walsh, who played...
Oh, wow, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
he's
I
terrific.
I knew I was kind of a newbie, because I was really nervous, because I'd never really done much on film before.
Yeah.
And he kept, I suppose you want to run your lines. And I go, okay. So we would run the lines, and he'd go, yeah, and you probably want to run them again. So, he kind of shepherded me through the moments, and we had such a nice chemistry together, and he's a fantastic person.
Yeah, I know.
I don't think he's lived in California for many, many years. I don't even know if he works anymore, but... Yeah,
I've not seen him in a while, but he's still kicking. And he plays such cantankerous characters at times, but I mean, he's worked so much and people have spoken so highly of him, so I know it's just, he's just good at what he does.
He is good, and he's a real team player, which, was none of this stuff like, oh, who's this little actress who doesn't know anything, because I really didn't. But and those scenes are wonderful. And then when they did the sequel, of course, that was Mick Garris's first movie.
Yes.
And we actually just did a whole reunion with the Chiodo brothers and Nick and a bunch of the Critters people, and it was a little broadcast they did. We shot it up at, we recorded it up at Blumhouse. I think it was for Shock. Not Shock Rock, but it was Ryan Turek and that whole gang. And that wasn't very long ago. So we had a lot of reminiscences, and the Critters are such fantastic. So when the balls are really
the effect,
So it was wonderful. I mean, the bottom line is it was a terrific experience for me, and it's exciting to me that people find that a beloved character.
Oh yeah, because like the second one particularly seemed to be on a lot at a certain point in my life. There was a cable channel at one point called Prism, and we didn't have cable, but my friend had it, and Critters 2 seemed to be on like every weekend, but like we never turned it off. It's like Critters 2 is on, cool, like there's our afternoon,
And they're doing another one.
Yeah, they did a series. It's like a short series, I think, of it's more like a television show, but it looks like it really captures I haven't been able to see it yet, but they use the same old school effects and everything, and it looks like it has the same kind of spirit. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think the Chiodo brothers are still involved.
Okay, yeah, I know. I really should check it out. It looks like a lot of fun. But while I still have you, the Farrelly brothers you've worked with a lot. You've had, you've popped up in a bunch of their films, and so are they working on anything, or have you spoken to them for a while?
Yes, well, because Pete, Pete just won the Academy Award for Green Book.
That's right, yeah.
I definitely stay in touch with them. I mean, in a way, we sort of put each other on the map at that moment, because the first three movies they did were Dumb and Dumber, Kingpin, and then There's Something About Mary.
Yeah.
And those are still their three most iconic.
That's true, yeah.
Beloved films, basically.
That's true, yeah.
And I'm really proud that, Kingpin has a whole long story to it. I had the little part in Dumb and Dumber of Mrs. Neugebberger, as Jeff Daniels calls me, Mrs. Neugeborn. That came from Bob. That was Bob saying, put my sister in your movie.
Oh.
And it was Pete's first movie. So, Pete went, oh, yeah, okay. Whatever you say.
Yeah, right. Of course, yeah.
And it's actually, there's such great stories surrounding my relationship with them, because I didn't know that Bob had said anything, and I get a call from Rick Montgomery, who's still their casting director, to come and play this little role. And I was, the fact I didn't have to audition. Auditioning is really slippery, and it's really not that much fun. I mean, it's so nerve-wracking. Still to this day, when I have to audition, I get as nervous as I ever did ever. And so the fact I didn't have to audition was a thrill. And then when the movie finished, I actually contacted Bob, and I said, do I have you to thank for this? And he said, oh, get your own. He was real, rah, 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 rah. And I thought, okay, I don't know where it came from, but whatever. And a few weeks later, there was a little note that Bob forwarded to me from Charlie Wessler, who is one of Pete's producers. I hear your doggy.
Yeah,
one of Pete's producers, and who and actually was one of the producers on the Green Book too, which is kind of great.
Oh, wow.
Their loyalty to their film community is very, very important.
Wow.
That Charlie's still involved. But Charlie had written a note to Bob saying, thank you for sending us your sister, because she did a wonderful job in the card, and so it was from Bob. And then Mary, I had a Kingpin. I saw that they were making a film, and I convinced someone from the office to send me the script. Mrs. Dumars is described as the angriest, ugliest woman God ever let loose on the planet. I thought, how could I not like that for a moment?
Right.
And literally, I worked for about 6 weeks on my floor in my bedroom trying to develop that character, the outfit, the makeup, that she had hair coming out of her nostrils. I put eyelashes coming out of my nostrils. I had like egg on my face to give myself a yellow, like this yellow cast, and I was putting oil in my hair. And I mean, I was trying to think what's the ugliest, worst thing I can possibly come up with, and I couldn't get an audition. They would not respond.
Wow.
And literally, last minute, my agent had died.
Oh, wow.
I was sitting at the table in my house crying.
Oh, no.
Literally, because I was supposed to have an appointment with another agent who just had canceled. My husband at the time came in and he said, "What's the matter with you?" And I said, I was just like blubbering. And he said, "Well," I said, "I can't get I worked so hard on this character." And he said, "Well, why don't you call one of the producers, who is a wonderful guy named Steve Stabler, who I haven't seen for a long time. But he was one of the producers on Dumb and Dumber, who I became kind of friends with." Mm-hmm. So I called, and Steve answered the phone. And I said, "I can't get an audition for the..." He said, "Why are you calling?" I said, "I'm trying to get an audition for Mrs. Dumars." And he said, "We love your work. We just don't think you're right for it." And I said, "Well, I worked out this whole character that I've been working on." And there was this pause, and he said, "Okay, I'll bring you in on Thursday." And literally, I went to their offices were in Santa Monica. I came in dressed as Mrs. Dumars. Just exactly what you see in the movie, and outfit, the hair, and Rick Montgomery. I sat there for almost 45 minutes, and finally, I see Rick go, "Lynn?" And he said, "Oh my God, I thought you were homeless off the street. We were going to call the cops." And I read for the part, dressed as Mrs. Dumars, and I got the job. So that for me is still my favorite role ever. I think it's brilliantly written. Woody Harrelson, to me, is one of our great actors ever.
Yeah, I agree.
And a terrific team player. And from there, I mean, I auditioned for Mary. They made me read, and I got the part. And and then I did do little things in a few of the films after that. And I do stay in touch with them, but very, very lightly. Just holiday greetings and stuff. And then, of course, when Green Book came about, I've been in touch with Pete, and I just saw him and his family actually just about a week or so ago, and I'm very proud for him. He's a fantastic person and deserves the success. He's a talented man, so I feel lucky to be a part of their family.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I mean, do you, when you, in these days when, your brother is talking these directors for you or whatever, like, did you feel like more pressure, like you had to go in there and just like really work to earn their respect because you didn't just want to be there because of who you know? Like, did you feel like more did that drive you harder to like you wanted to be there because of your talent and not because of who you know?
You know what? I didn't think about any of that.
Oh, that's
By
cool.
that time, once I had the role, it was just about the part, and
Yeah.
it was about creating the character. And for instance, in Dumb and Dumber, I thought, okay, this woman has dogs. You know how people look like dogs.
Yeah.
I would ask the makeup woman. I said, why don't we do the front of my hair like a poodle? Make it really tiny little pin curls. A poodle's hair is really curly, curly, curly. And so stuff like that, that's what would occupy my mind. Once I'm in the role, I don't think about the other part, the other stuff. I figure if I'm there, I just need to do the very best I have in me. I'm very, I don't know how to put it, not goal-oriented. It's more, I have to have it right. It has to be right. And I'll do anything in my power to make that happen. Whatever I need to have that happen. I get it's very selfless. It's like, it's not about that. It's about the person I'm playing.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to go. You're just focusing on the craft and not any other outside anxieties. Yeah.
Really, the other stuff, we have no control over the other stuff either, by the way.
That's right. That's right. So just take what you're given and roll with it. That's the best way to go about it. So before I let you go, there's a couple of deep cuts I maybe wanted to address. You worked with Alf. As a child, I was like way big into Alf. Do you have any memories from that experience?
Oh my God, Dick Lowry. Yes, I actually do. I think that was Dick Lowry that directed that, and that was also kind of I knew Dick. A wonderful woman named Ann Kinberg was a friend of his, and I think I play a waitress. I can barely remember.
That's according to your IMDb. You are correct.
Correct. And Dick gave me one of the best pieces of advice I ever had as an actor.
Oh, that's cool. Because that was another question I was going to ask. But go ahead.
Well, for this case, and I haven't seen Dick Lowry in years. I don't think he's in the business anymore. He's a cowboy. A true cowboy. He's like from Texas, I think, and a fantastic guy. And I did a couple of movies of the week with him.
Mm-hmm.
And he, the advice was, especially for camera, stop, listen, and then speak. And it's because when you see young actors who haven't had much, because you've got to let your audience catch up. You can't just ramble through things. You've got to give them the opportunity to see you listening, and then to see what you're going to say. And of course, that's, there's a modulation within that. But the idea is about not rushing to get there and talk right away. There's exceptions to that rule, of course. But in general, to take your moment, look at who you're looking, because don't forget they're going to cut. There's an edit.
Right.
So give the editor that moment too. He doesn't. The pause may not be in there, but you have given the opportunity to stop, look at who you're talking to, listen to what they're saying, take a beat, and then respond. So there's breath, and there's a place for the editor to cut, and there's a place for the audience to catch up on what you're doing. And I think of that to this day, truly. When I go, I raced through that, and then we'll do another take or something. So I make sure I give that breath to the what I'm doing.
Oh, so
Gotta be a good listener as an actor. That's almost more important than the delivery.
Wow. See, I didn't expect that the Alf story would include the best advice you've been given by a director. That's pretty.
I'm sure Dick Lowry would never know that he did that for me, but that was really. Isn't that crazy? I haven't thought about that in years.
I thought you'd be like, I did Alf? What? What is that? Like, did I spend the 80s just acting with alien puppets?
Right. And I took a beat before I said it. But it was just, it's crazy, the things that alter the way we either perform or the way we think. It can be the strangest thing. It could be something somebody says to you at the coffee shop. It's really crazy what forms our perceptions and our actions.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have time for just one more thing?
Sure, I'm good.
Okay. All right. And you did this episode of Frasier, the Focus Group, which I think is one of the
One
best.
line, right?
It's one of
I
my.
got a story about that one too.
Oh, good. I hope so because it's one of the best. That's one of the best sitcoms of the '90s. But this is a standout episode. Every time it comes on, I gotta sit down and watch. This is a really, really well written episode of Frasier. So, do you have any fond memories of that?
The memory I have is I couldn't remember my line.
Okay.
I mean, because there was like a lot of waiting, a lot of waiting, as always, anyway. And, I'm certainly not the focus of attention in that show. And I was excited in the show. I don't remember how I got the part. I don't remember I think I auditioned. I think I had an audition for that. And it was that moment where suddenly, where words suddenly don't mean anything. Where like you don't really you're saying stuff, but you don't really know what you're saying. I don't know if it's a brain thing or it was an emotional moment. I just remember there was one of those moments where it was my turn to talk. And I couldn't remember the line. So write it down next time you see it.
Yeah, I will.
You call and remind me what it was.
Oh.
Because it becomes like gibberish. It's like, hark, I hear the cannon roar. You know that old story. Or you know that joke. You know that joke? The guy that has the one line, hark, I hear the cannon roar. Hark, the cannon roar. And it's this whole big production. And finally the cannon goes off and he goes, what the shit was that?
No, I hadn't heard that one, but that's...
One of those moments.
Okay.
Right. And, anyway, so that's my Frasier story.
Wow. That's great. I want to make sure I get you my email address, but the parting question before we technically wrap, it gets back to Critters. I'm sorry, but Billy Zane is an actor I'm fascinated with. Don't ask me why, but did you get to interact with him at all? Did you get to do you have any stories of Billy Zane?
No, not really. I don't think. I barely met him.
Yeah, you didn't really have any scenes together. I was just curious.
No, and I don't. I always, I liked him in Titanic.
There you go. Well, that's a nice thing
That's
to say.
probably my biggest memory of Billy Zane.
Even more so than Critters.
Really?
You're like, he's in Critters?
We can always talk about Kathy Bates and Fisher. No, I don't know. I barely know either one of them. Frances, actually, I worked with. Frances is a wonderful actress, by the way.
Yeah, I know I think she's in Unforgiven with Clint Eastwood, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was married to Clint Eastwood for a while.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
She was in this movie Sedona that I did with Tommy Stovall, who directed Room for Rent.
There we go. Bringing it all back together. Yeah, bringing it all, full circle. Our interviews come full circle.
All right, everyone. That is going to be the end of this interview with Lin Shaye. Shout out to Mark. Thank you so much for doing this interview, and thank you, Lin Shaye, for taking the time out of your day to do this interview with us. This is one of the great ones for sure. Stay tuned for more interviews, and of course, check out Room for Rent. It is running on a small festival circuit, also a small theatrical run, but it will be soon available on VOD and all streaming platforms. And let's spread it around word of mouth. Thank you, everyone, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.